Seen the movie, don't even worry. We're gonna watch the trailer, read a brief synopsis, and a lot of this stuff is different. So, I picked this topic a long time ago, and I had just been like meaning to get to it, mainly just because I was curious. And honestly, researching it was like a little bit weirder than I anticipated. Like, I'm not gonna say it was hard because there was a fair amount of stuff out there, but the problem I was finding is that all the stuff was the same. It was hard to find like original information about any of the women involved. But I did find some interesting stuff out there that I did not know. I had seen this movie. It's good. It's not great, but it is good. But it's also like about things that I love, like women, scamming, glitter. Those are like pretty big, heavy hitting categories for me. I feel like I have so much to do. Lemur Banana, thank you for subscribing for 29 months. I feel like my office is kind of a shit show, like ever since school started. The thing is, literally, I just haven't. You know what I mean? On the air sign needs to go up. This background has been too short for the whole time it's been up here. I just like really need to get this together. I'm just like never really in here. But yeah, you've never heard of this? I'm excited then. I've been so busy since school started. I'm glad to make a stream. I'm glad you're here too. Schedule update for next week. Next week we're streaming on a Monday. Club's going up on a Monday. We're talking about Marlo Hampton from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She has a very interesting backstory. She is one of the few Real Housewives in the Real Housewives universe. Well, I don't want to say few because some people are in this boat. That really came from not a great childhood, but she's a little crazy, but also very admirable in many things. And I think she's just kind of like a character. She's funny. She has a lot of good one-liners. So we're going to talk about Marlo next week. The reason it's on a Monday instead of a Tuesday is because I am helping my sister with something for her job on Tuesday. So I'm going to be out of town for one day. And it just happened to fall on a Tuesday. So I figured I'd rather do it on Monday than try and do the stream from a hotel. That just seemed horrible to me. So yeah, I'm here for any J-Lo slander. I don't personally have J-Lo slander, but this is a safe space for J-Lo slander. Like I'm not a fan or a hater of hers. She's just there. That one clip of her when she was like, my hair's all crazy like this, it reminds me of when I was a girl in the Bronx. That is really, really cringe. Like, and then when she was like walking in her old neighborhood and she was like, this is my house. And that guy was like, who are you? Sometimes she is just like comical, but not in a way where she means to be, unfortunately. So yeah, this is a safe space. Who is she in Mariah Carey's voice? If you know, you know. I'm so excited for today's stream. That actually works perfect for me because I'm busy next Tuesday. I love when life lines up like that. So let's go ahead and get into it because low-key, we have a lot to talk about. Some of it is a little redundant, so we're gonna skim through parts of it because basically I'll tell you, like, we're gonna go over the movie and then there's a woman that wrote an article about the real women that was the person kind of like breaking the news. It had been in local news in New York before that, but this one woman's in-depth article was so well written and like really was the story. Like it became the movie. And so I really wanted to read the whole thing because it's really good and journalism is dying and it's just really good journalism. So because we're reading her whole story and then we're going to talk about more details, a few things will come up more than once. All that to say, like, you guys care or you're in control of it. So first things first, I'm going to show you the trailer for the movie. I'm going to be honest with you, like, as someone who watched the movie, I enjoyed the movie. I would watch the movie again. You can get it from the trailer. Like, you get it. You get it. Like, obviously there's more detail and some twists and turns, but like, that's the story from the trailer. Like, I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh, yeah, man. Flamingos are cool. Longtime YouTube watcher, first time tuning in live. Everyone be nice and chill and cool. We have new friends here. The Betcheled cast did an ep on Hustlers and their guest was a sex worker and it was so good to hear that perspective. Same, I completed the pipeline. I love my first timers. Welcome to the studio. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's watch the trailer.
Just switch and rock.
This takes so much core strength. Cardi B in it.
I just want to take care of my grandma, maybe go shopping every once in a while.
When I was a kid, I always wanted to work with animals. I was close. These Wall Street guys. You see what they did to this country? They stole from everybody. Hardworking people lost everything. And not one of these douchebags went to jail.
I remember being excited for Lizzo and Cardi B, and they were hardly in it. I was frustrated that Cardi B was hardly in it, mainly because she was the only one in the cast that used to be a stripper. There's so many strippers that want to be actresses. You know? Right, I just realized I was thinking of American Hustlers, which I think is a wildly different thing. Yeah, I don't think I know what that is. So this is not that, but this will be good.
The game is rigged, and it does not reward people who play by the rules. It's like robbing a bank, except you get the keys. Are you in? These are my coworkers. Jobs, please. What if somebody calls the cops and says what? I spent $5,000 at a strip club. Send help. We're a family now. A family with money.
And when would you say that things got out of control?
Mainly she just is like, and then gets back in the car.
So the guy went down.
Diamonds on my neck. I like more than sex. I like more than sex. But nothing in this world. I like more than sex.
We didn't do anything wrong. You know, Tony wouldn't let this happen. I'm gonna text him.
Who gave her phone back?
A lot of big names. Okay, so that's the movie. If you want to watch the movie, you can watch the movie. But like really, truly, I mean it when I say that pretty much told you everything you know. In the movie, there's strippers. They work at a strip club and they're like 2008 hits. So the money isn't as good. The movie shows like their origin story, but I don't want to spoil the stream for you. Their money isn't good because it's 2008. So they're like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to invite guys to the bar and then get them drunk and then take them to the club and start swiping their credit card and then we'll get the money. Like they were partnering with the club. They're like, we'll bring in clients and you give us a cut. And it was fraud because obviously the people were like unconscious and stuff and they were like forcing them to sign. So that was kind of their scheme to make money because again, you got wasted and you went to a strip club and spent too much money. Most people aren't going to call the police for that. And even if you did, the police are going to be like, me too. Do you want to do it together? So that's kind of why it worked. And they were getting away with it for a long time. So summary of the movie, like I didn't just fucking give you that. In 2014, a New York City-based stripper, Dorothy, is invited for an interview with a journalist. And the journalist is working on a story about Dorothy's friend, Ramona. So the movie kind of opens with the journalist. Like I said, we're going to read her work. 7 years prior, Dorothy, known as by her stripper name as Destiny, is working at Moves, a strip club to support her grandmother, but is barely getting by. She's mesmerized by Ramona's performance and the tips that Ramona is earning. So Ramona takes Destiny under her wing and they kind of form a team. This is a really powerful scene in the movie where Ramona's smoking on the roof in this big fur coat and Destiny is like up there and it's basically like, you make so much money, because Destiny was like a new stripper. So she was more like awkward on her feet, didn't really know how to talk to people. And Ramona's like, yeah, girl, I can teach you how to do that. And then she's like, oh my God, you're freezing. Come sit under my coat and we can smoke together. And it's like very, very intimate. Not in like a sexual way, but just in like a intimacy of female friendship kind of way. Also, strip clubs are predatory towards dancers. I don't blame them at all. Yeah, so what they kind of showed in that trailer, strippers actually have to pay to work. You would think at a bare minimum, they'd be like, you work here, you get your tips, and we provide the stage. That would be like, still they're not paying you as an employee of that establishment, which is fucked up. But it's actually even worse than that. The strippers have to give a percentage of their tips to the house. So that percentage can be higher or lower depending on how long you've worked there, how good you are, if you're bringing clients in, what city you're in, what kind of club it, like there's so many factors, so I'm not going to try and give any numbers because I also don't really know. I know in the movie I think they said it was like 40%, which seems very, very high. And then you also have to tip out the bartenders, you also have to tip out security, you also have to tip out the DJ. So the money that the strippers are getting on stage, they're actually only keeping a pretty small portion of that, because most of them, yes, they are contractors, they're considered like talent, and they're 1099. So that's how that is legal, because they're considered just like talent. It's like the same way at Hooters they can discriminate for you being like ugly or a boy, because you're technically hired as like an actress and like talent, not as a waitress. So that's why it's legal. So Destiny enjoys newfound wealth and friendship with Ramona. A year later, they're both short of cash because it's 2008. Destiny gets pregnant. She has a daughter. She's like, oh my God, I need a job. So she moves back in with her grandma. She goes back to stripping, but she realizes that the strip club has changed a lot in the recession. It is now a lot of women from, I think they said like Ukraine and Colombia, who were basically giving blowjobs for $300 a pop. And she's like, I was a stripper here making like above board good money. Like, I don't want to be involved in prostitution. But then she like kind of rubs a guy's dick. Also, this is like a really not safe for children or work stream. If anyone lets their kid watch this, that's fine. I get it. I probably would too. But like the stripper one, I felt like I didn't need to say that, but I guess I did. So if your kid's here, maybe leave. So she reconnects with Ramona, and Ramona's like, I have this new scheme going on. Again, this is still in the movie. They target the rich men, get them drunk, take them to the strip club. They steal their credit card numbers and charge it to the absolute limit. Destiny joins in and realizes that they use ketamine and MDMA to impair the guy's judgment. So they basically slip something in their drink. And their victims rarely admit that they were robbed by strippers, because a lot of them probably also think, oh, maybe I just got a little crazy and things got out of control. I'm actually going to skip over the rest of that because you kind of get the picture. Like, then they get caught, they get in trouble. You saw the trailer. Had no idea this was based on a true story. So let's go ahead and get into the true story. What's the truth? What's the truth? We're going to get to the bottom of it. So this is some of the OG news breaking June 11th, 2014. It says that they started this right after 2008, so it seems like they were doing it for a long time, it appears. It was on some local New York news things, and then I also found this New York Times article about it. It was a relatively short article. It says, it seemed at the time to be an unlikely story. A cardiologist from New Jersey had run up a 6-figure tab at Scores, an expensive strip club in Manhattan. Scores is a chain, apparently, and is like a high-end chain, and they're like other cities too, apparently. But was balking at paying the debt, even though he had built up his tab over 3 separate visits in November. So this doctor is basically like, I'm not paying this fucking bill. Hold on, let me turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. This doctor's like, I'm not paying this fucking bill, and reports it to the police, and the police are like, okay, you went there 3 times though. He claimed he could not remember visiting the club despite photographic evidence that he was there, because if it's 6 figures, oh, you best believe they're pulling that security footage. Because if you dispute a credit card charge and it's like $80, they're probably just gonna like eat it and be like, what the fuck ever. But 6 figures, oh, they're getting their money, especially in 2008. Or in 2014. How was the economy in 2014? I guess it was good. Yeah, there is 2014 now, but still, it's over $100,000. So he offered what he thought was a plausible explanation. He must have been drugged. Months later, prosecutors said he was right. An indictment unsealed in the state Supreme Court in Manhattan this week describes a criminal ring whose members drugged well-off men, took them to strip clubs, and then ran up tens of thousands of dollars on their credit cards while they were incapacitated. The group is accused of stealing at least $200,000 from September to December. So keep in mind, they said they started this like right around the 2008 crash. That $200,000 is only from September to December that I guess law enforcement was tracking them and building a case. They were getting away with this for years. Years, it appears. And it was $135,000 from the doctor, I think his name is Yunin, and a total of $65,000 from 3 other victims, a banker, a hedge fund executive, and a real estate lawyer. Investigators from the DEA and the New York police arrested 4 women, Samantha Barbash, Rosalind Keogh, Karina Pascucci, and Marcy Rosen. So Samantha Barbash is the J-Lo character 40 years old. Rosalind Keough is the character played by the Asian woman. Who's that? Who is that? Was it Constance Wu? Who was that? Anyway, and then Karina and Marcy, I can't remember. We'll get into it later. They're more minor characters. They were arraigned in the state Supreme Court on multiple counts of conspiracy, grand larceny, forgery, and assault. All pleaded not guilty and were released on bail. You notice that they did not get them for drugging because that's a really, really hard crime to prosecute. Like, it's very difficult to prove that it's true unless you like have a toxicology report from like right when it happened and like have like some kind of witness or evidence that saw the person doing it. Like, it's a very, very difficult crime to prove. Carmine Vitolo, 43, was a manager at the Roadhouse Gentlemen's Club in Queens. He was also arrested, charged with grand larceny and conspiracy. He was released without bail after pleading not guilty. Okay, lawyer Era, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Ross. She's the one that texted me that made me silence my phone. I didn't even see what it said. I hope it wasn't an emergency. And then this bitch shows up. I thought I'd find you here. So the scheme alleged in, let's take the LSAT on live. For the Patreon, we're taking the LSAT on Patreon. So the scheme, and the bar. I want to take the bar. The scheme alleged that an indictment filed by the city's special narcotics prosecutor was as simple as it was effective. It would start with a fishing expedition. Dressed to seduce, the women would troll high-priced restaurants and bars, looking for men with expensive suits and wallets full of credit cards. Once a mark was found, one of the women would flirt with him and exchange telephone numbers. A few days later, they would arrange a date at another upscale restaurant or lounge, often with members of the criminal ring. In the boozy, warm haze of low lights and close bodies, they would slip drugs, including tranquilizers, ketamine, and methylone. What is that? Is that roofies? I don't know. Into the men's drinks. The victims were so impaired that the women sometimes also gave them cocaine so that they would be able to walk into the strip club. So they literally are just like drugging the absolute fucking shit out of these guys. And you're not gonna tell, like, is it evil? Yes. But this is genius. This would work so well. Like, these young women in their early 20s to go to these nice bars, probably fucking at like golf courses and shit. I don't think they have golf courses in Manhattan. I think they have to put those other places. But you get what I'm saying. At these like upscale, nice places, by banks and stuff like that. And then they flirt with older men and exchange numbers because they're being smart about it. If they tried to take him that night, he'd be like, this is too good to be true. But they would flirt with them, get their numbers, and then be like, let's go out. Can I bring some of my friends? What man's gonna say no to that? Yeah, of course you can bring some of your friends. Drinks on me. Little does he know, everything's about to be on him. They're flirting, they're putting his arm around him, they're hanging out. He doesn't even notice his credit card left. Like, it's survival under oppression. It is survival under oppression. The victims would then be taken to the Roadhouse Club or Scores. This, I think, was the key part of why their scheme worked. If they were like, oh, let's go on a date to a strip club. I feel like a lot of men would be like, first date at a strip club? I don't know about that. A lot of men are gross, so they would like it. But a lot of like wealthier men would, I think, be a little like skeezed out of going to a strip club with a stranger that early. But after you've been at the bar drinking a ton and they're like, let's go to the strip club. Okay. You know what I mean? Raz, love a woman in male fields. I actually don't know what this is about. So once inside the club, the women would steal the victim's credit card, charge thousands of dollars of drinks and dances and like ATM to get cash because there's tons of fucking ATMs at strip clubs with insanely high fees. So they would just get cash and fucking steal the cash, I assume. So, then they would either forge a signature or convince the impaired man that the charge was far less than it was. They'd be like, no, that says 100, not 10,000. You're wasted. You are fucking wasted. Here, sign it. Like, I don't mean to laugh, but it's genius. It's genius. Prosecutors said the women had received payments from the club for bringing the men in, a fixed percentage of the bills the men accrued. So they're like probably getting it on both sides. They're stealing direct and getting a referral fee. The owners of the clubs were not charged in the indictment. Fucking classic. Oh, the men owning the club are innocent? Oh! What stand-up citizens? I'm sure they had no idea. Other than Mr. Vitolo, who was accused of colluding with the ring. So whatever Mr. Vitolo did to piss off his mob boss club owner, I'm sorry to you or not, but whatever. Yeah. Some of the victims, including Dr. Yunin, woke up with no memory of going to the club the night before, and investigators said that Dr. Yunin went out with Miss Pascucci, 26, who works at a boutique in Soho. So they also, at this point, it seems like they had graduated from stripping, because if the guy fucking sees you on the stage, he's like, wait, what the fuck is this? So like, like normal jobs. Oh, I'm a student. I work at a boutique. Who works at a boutique in Soho. They went over on 3 dates over the course of 2 weeks before he learned of the charges on his corporate Amex card. That fucking sucks for it to be on your corporate card, because you're definitely getting fired. He wakes up in a hotel room in Manhattan, and he's thinking he must have had a good time, said an official at the DEA who spoke on the condition of anonymity, whatever. Although no victim identified in court papers, there was a victim 3 in the indictment. Obviously, a lot of men don't want to admit to this, so it was really hard for them to build a case. The club takes a cut, and they're charging rooms and dances. Amazing work, ladies. Scores had sued Dr. Yunin because he refused to pay his $135,000 tab. We were always confident that law enforcement's efforts would expose my client was preyed upon by this ring and not responsible for the charges to his credit card, said the lawyer. A lawyer for the club said that the club would press ahead with the suit. It's still incredulous to us that he was there 3 times, and all 3 times he was drugged. I think he just thought he had a great date, which is sad, kind of. Investigators said that the ring was suspected of having drugged dozens of other men, and that evidence was still being gathered in those cases. The inquiry started 8 months ago when one of the victims approached the DEA. All 4 victims tried to reverse some or all of the charges. The women charged in the indictment took photographs of the men at the strip clubs and threatened to send them to their families and employers if they went to the authorities. Women in male fields for real. Lawyers for the defendants said that they would fight the charges. Miss Barbash's, this is Samantha's lawyer, said his client, who is married, has a 20-year-old son, and works at the Roadhouse Club, denied the charges. She said she never gave anybody any drugs. She never stole anybody's money. And that's the thing. Samantha got a lot of other people to do her dirty work. Samantha was the ringleader, but Samantha wasn't the one going on dates. Samantha usually wasn't the one grabbing the card. Samantha usually wasn't the one slipping it in someone's drink. So it's pretty hard to charge her with stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that was the New York Times story breaking the news in 2014 when it happened. This is way before the movie was even thought of, before anyone really cared. It was just kind of in the news because it's like an interesting crime story. So it went from local news to national news in the New York Times. But the New York Times is only national because it's New York. I guess technically it's still local to New York. Just a fuck ton of people who don't live in New York read it. So this is Rosalind Keough on the left. This is Samantha Barbush on the right. These were the real women who built a successful scheme on tricking wealthy men into spending thousands in strip clubs. Their main spot was Scores. So these are the pictures of the actual women, just like give you the vibe check. Samantha Barbush, who inspired the character of Ramona in Hustlers, was very angered by Jennifer Lopez's portrayal of her. She did not feel like the movie was accurate, and she was pissed. In 2015, a writer named Jessica Pressler wrote this story, The Hustlers at Scores, for New York Magazine. It was also in the Times. I read it on her personal website. So Google her. She has a lot of other incredible work. It's very long, but it's very, very well written. So we are going to read the whole thing. Like I said, some parts are redundant because we just read that original news story. So some parts you've heard before, but a lot of it you have not. So she is the one that was like, you know what? This news story is interesting. I want to interview these women. I want to like dive deeper on this. So let's go ahead and get into it. In another life, and this is in the movie, the movie is kind of through Jessica's perspective. Like you see Jessica doing the interview and like talking it through. Imagine having J-Lo chosen to play you in a movie. In another life, Rosalind Keough might have liked to work on Wall Street. I'm smart enough, I know, she told me, sitting in the immaculate white kitchen of her suburban home. She's organized, she pointed out, good at math, and there's little doubt that she has an entrepreneurial streak. As a kid, she said, she used to buy candy in bulk and sell it at school for a profit, which I later remembered is the same story as hedge fund billionaire John Paulson tells about himself. But John Paulson was born into his body, and Rosalind Gale was born into hers, which happens to be a rather more overtly sexy shape with the sort of waist-to-hip ratio scientists have concluded affects men like a drug. It's that kind of body, as they used to say, could get a girl in trouble. Though getting into trouble was something Rosie was plenty capable of all by herself. Growing up here in Rockland County, Rosie, as she likes to be called, was a wild child. She ran with a tough crowd, had bad boyfriends, got into fights at school. So that's like the most I could fucking find about her childhood. Like, these people are not famous. It's tough. Now 31, she has since made some inquiries into the field of psychology and concluded that this behavior was likely the result of her parents having taken off to Atlantic City when she was young and leaving her and her brother behind with elderly grandparents. So I think everyone has childhood trauma. I think the stripper community probably has more childhood trauma than the average job. I think if you look at childhood trauma by job, stripper's probably up there. Nurse, sure, that's up there. If you care that much about other people, something happened to you. No shade with that, just condolences. Teacher, I don't know. I feel like it's hit or miss. If you're a teacher, you either have like no childhood trauma or like an extreme amount. Probably not in the middle. Anyway. So yeah, I think that it makes sense that these women have childhood trauma is what I'm trying to say. According to Rosie, her parents were Cambodian refugees who came to America hoping for a better life. Okay, so it's America's fault again. Insert Victoria Justice meme. I think everyone has childhood trauma. She said her parents came to America hoping for a better life and got caught up with, material crap and nice cars and the nightlife. And just somewhere they went wrong. I say according to Rosie because her family did not respond to interview requests and because Rosie is an admitted liar with multiple pending felony charges. Still, she is occasionally prone to offering up indisputable truths. American culture is a little fucked up, Anyway, according to Rosie, this is what eventually led to her going wrong. To her dropping out of school and at 17 taking a job at the New City Diner, a greasy spoon off the Main Dragon Nanuit? I don't know what that is. In order to supplement her grandparents' meager income. Late at night and early in the morning, she poured coffee and took orders from customers, many of whom were employees from Lace, a nearby gentleman's club. One night, one of Lace's managers dropped a $20 tip on a $20 check, gave her uniform a long up and down look, and suggested she come by if she was interested in making more money. So pretty much like every stripper, they needed money. So not just strippers, but anyone who's at work. She got a job the same way other people do. She was at a shitty job. Someone saw her and said, hey, do you want a less shitty job? But is it less shitty? Depends how much you care about money and personal space. This was back in the early aughts when the industry was enjoying a cultural moment. Improbably, the values of third wave feminism had aligned with those of Howard Stern. Howard Stern was like obsessed with, what's the name of the strip club? Scores. He's in a clip we're going to watch later very briefly. He's like obsessed. It's weird. And he would like have strippers on his show all the time. He's a weird guy. I think like keep an eye on him. He's weird. Where was I? This ushered in an era in which taking off one's clothes in front of an audience was no longer degrading, but sexually liberating and financially empowering. Keep in mind of the era, the times. It's like early 2000s. Britney, belly button rings. It's hot. We're in. New York City's clubs like Scores, with their bright lights and bottle service, had successfully marketed themselves as naughty but harmless night out for men and women, and celebrities and athletes were all too happy to be photographed with dancers who looked as wholesome as topless cheerleaders. So celebrities are in the fucking club. Everyone's in the fucking club. We're in the fucking club. Rosie had seen the HBO show G-String Divas. I had never heard of G-String Divas. It is a documentary about strippers that I need to be watching immediately. Is it on HBO Max? Let me look it up. Or just Max or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. Like, apparently that was one guy. Like, that was one guy that works at that company. It was his idea. He was like, we should drop HBO and call it Max. Like, you haven't worked for fucking ever to develop that brand. God, I hate people. Oh, I need to catch back up with Gypsy Sisters. G-string divas. It's not. What's the point of having an app if you're not going to put all of your original content on there? Let me Google it. Oh, it's on this Internet Archive website. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nice. Cool. Interesting. It was a woman, the Max thing. Oh my God, it was? I'll never forget how Howard Stern treated Anna Nicole Smith. Horrifying. So anyway, she had seen this documentary series about strippers and observed the huge wads of cash. So she was like, interesting. So she went to Lace the next day, lied about her age, and landed a job. At this time, she recalled she was making $500 to $1,000 a night. So that's pretty good. It's more money than you make teaching. But the real money she knew was in Manhattan. Where is this place that she grew up? I should have put this in there, but I'm going to Google it. Oh, it's in New York. It's just like more in the suburbs, I think. Where is this? Oh, is it in New York? It says it's in New York, but it's like right next to a line. But it's like north. Huh? Interesting. Okay, it's like right above New Jersey, like not crazy far from the city. It's right across the 287, if you know what that is, on like the west side of, not Manhattan, like go the Bronx, go New Rochelle, and then like it's up there. It's a hamlet. I'm marrying into a New York family, and New York is such an interesting place to me. This is the thing that I hate about New Yorkers. Let's go there, actually. I hate how New Yorkers, like, a place will be 15 minutes away from where they live, and they treat it like it's a different planet. They're like, oh, over there, the sandwiches are horrible. It's 15 minutes away. Or they'll be like, those people over in that town. And I'm like, that's nothing. Like, they're so incredibly close together, and they act like they're not. And I don't just mean within New York. I honestly mean everyone in the Northeast. Those tiny-ass states are this far away from each other, and those people act like it's a different planet, and I'm just over it. Because, like, I grew up in the South, so driving 45 minutes away is, like, no big deal at all. Like, a lot of people do that to and from work every single day. So when there are people like, oh my God, that's so far, and you Google it, and it's, like, 43 minutes. I'm like, is it? They're like, and then they're like, oh, the Hamptons is like another planet. It's not. Like, it's right there. Like, it's literally right there. It's been there the whole time. It's because we don't have cars, so everything is far by public transit. Knowing nothing about New York, you're just saying sounds right. Oh, I love New Yorkers, though. The one thing I will say I love about New York is the food. There's so much good food in New York, and it's like food that I love. Like, there's such good sandwiches in New York. I love sandwiches. There's such good like Chinese food and other like international food because people live there. Pizza, obviously. There's so much good food in New York. I love eating in New York. That's like one of my favorite things. But I'll get off my New York hill right now. And apparently they're showing it all in G-string divas. It probably would be very porny. This is when HBO was like more porn and less like Nathan Fieldery. So anyway, she starts working in a new club in Manhattan, Flash Dancers in Times Square, and then Larry Flint's Hustler Club, where she met Samantha Fox. So this is a brief break from the article to watch some ABC News. There's like a multi-part series on it, and we're gonna watch, but I've never been robbed in this manner, and I don't degrade women for fun. I respect women, so they've never done this to me. Just pointing something out. I think we should all thank Cardi B for is teaching a lesson to me personally by her talking about it in an interview and me seeing it on social media. It was like in the press circuit for this movie, and someone was like, oh, what's one lesson from your stripper days that you like brought into the performing world, or something along those lines? And she said that when she was a stripper, she learned that if you're on your period, you should just cut your tampon string. genius. Like if you're wearing a particular outfit, you're a little bit, you got to be comfortable with yourself. Like if you're afraid of yourself, don't do that. Don't do that. If you're comfortable with yourself, I think it's a risk you can take. And I just like, oh. So this is more on the OG article. I wanted to like mix it up with some clips and stuff. We'll watch more of that. Samantha, born Samantha Barbash, was one of Hustler's top money makers. She was a single mother from the Bronx. She started dancing at 19. Like an ornamental plant purposely stunted to conform to a certain ideal, she'd been shaped by the industry in which she grew up. Her body was Jessica Rabbit curvy, her lips Angelina Jolie puffy, her hair, which concealed tattoos of the cascade of stars running down her neck, was Cleopatra black. Buried within this ultra-feminine package was a mercenary streak worthy of a Gordon Gekko. So by the time Rosie met Samantha, Samantha was in her 30s, which is ancient by stripper standards, but she maintained her supremacy by cultivating younger dancers. While evolutionary theory in The Bachelor would suggest that a room full of women hoping to attract attention of a few men would be cutthroat competitive, it's actually better for strippers to work together. Because while most men might be able to keep their wits and their wallets around one scantily clad, sweet-smelling sylph, they tend to lose their grip around 3 or 4. Why can't this journalist talk about women normal? She is a woman, and it's 2014. Keep that in mind. It was a different time, you guys. Which is why at Hustler, as elsewhere, the dancers worked in groups, and everyone wanted to work with Samantha because she had a lot of clients and she knew how to work well. Samantha took Rosie under her wing, introducing her in her throaty Mae West voice to some of her regular customers. Mostly Wall Street guys, Samantha told me, in a tone that suggested a more populist outlook than I anticipated, who want to have fun and get drunk and party with girls. At this point, it was 2007. Strip clubs weren't as popular as they had been. A series of mob-related arrests at Scores had taken away some of the gloss, but they were a good place to blow off steam after a day pushing around billions of millions. Better, really, since strip clubs were some of the few places outside Wall Street where large sums of money could be just treated just as cavalry. It's like La La Land in there, Rosie recalled. We had a guy who was at Guggenheim Partners. He spent $300,000 in 1 week. He came in 3 times, $100,000 every time. He walked in the room. Everyone made $10,000 each time he came in. That's nothing to them. Nothing. So they're seeing these men spend huge amounts of money. This was a scene from the movie Hustlers that I think is just trying to capture, like, this is the best days of our lives. Like, the girls are dancing together, they're making tons of money, like, things are as good as they can be in stripper land. In the movie Hustlers, they had a scene where Usher comes in, and it's like a great night because this guy at Guggenheim Partners is probably a lot less exciting to hang out with than Usher, so the movie probably wouldn't be as good. So it's age restricted because everything was so glamorous and cool. The men were mostly assholes. Even when they didn't start out that way, they'd get drunk and say things like, did your father abuse you? Apparently, they wanted sex and like a champagne bottle up there. It fucked me up a little bit in the head, she said, the window her job gave her into the male psyche. They stop, and then the girls develop a terrible contempt, the manager said. They stop believing men are real. They think they are there for me to manipulate and take money from. And who built that system? The men are like, when I take my employees' money, fine them for not being hot enough, treat them like garbage, and let other men sexually harass them, they really grow quite the disdain for us. Who built that system? And that's their job. What do you mean manipulate and take money from? That's literally what you hired them to do. And when it came to that, they all preferred assholes. There's something extra satisfying about persuading a man who thinks you're trash to spend money. Don't tell me you love me. That means I know I can milk you for everything and some. So they like to kind of like work it a little bit. They're hustlers. Rosie had an open face with wide-eyed innocence that she enhances through eyelash extensions. Real. In a time, she attracted lots of these types of men. One of them is a white-collar professional we'll call Brian, who would sit at the bar and watch Rosie study. It was just unbelievable how organized she was. Her penmanship was perfect. So, like, the men are obsessed with her. The reason why Wall Street guys party so hard is that they're not happy with the money. The dancers are the same way. You make the money, then you're depressed, so you go shopping or on vacation. The money depletes, you go back. So she's just talking about what it's like working in the clubs. Yeah, so this was not a pattern Rosie intended to get stuck in, not like Samantha, who she'd come to view as a cautionary tale. Rosie would talk about the classes she took at FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology, and the swimsuit line she was starting, but the idea of getting a straight job seemed about as likely as a vampire becoming a lifeguard. Rosie had ambition, despite everyone who had indicated otherwise, her parents, her boyfriends, the guys who kicked her out of the champagne room because they weren't feeling her. Rosie knew that she was special. So at this point, she and Brian were in agreement, which is why she tolerated him and why he thought they had, in his words, a connection. So much of one that when Brian's fiance's visa ran out, he was like, go back to Kazakhstan. Rosie loves me. So she had Brian eating out of the palm of her hand. So he was surprised when Rosie disappeared. So Rosie's MIA, he did not hear from Rosie until 2 years later. She called saying she was in Arizona, and she said she moved out there with a friend. She wanted to come back, and she asked if he could help her pay for a moving truck. He said he could hear a baby crying in the background, and she said, "It's my friend's baby. I'm watching it." And she in the interview said, "I told him I was in Arizona." So that's where we are now. She has disappeared from the club. She's gone. She calls this guy years later. In reality, she had never left New York. She'd gotten pregnant and engaged, but then her and her boyfriend broke up. So she wanted financial independence for herself and her newborn daughter. So she wrote a list that she called her Get Money list and started calling all these names, trying to figure out how to make some money. And apparently the fiance had come back and he was married now. So yeah, so then she drove back to the city, to the club, and she said, you got to do what you got to do, and went back to stripping. So she takes a break from stripping and then she comes back after she's had a kid. In the time she'd been gone, things had drastically changed. The market collapse in 2008 left half of Wall Street unemployed. And the mood was that the other half was staying as far away from the strip club as possible. And this is the part I was talking about, where she said, there were all these Russian girls and Colombian girls, and they were giving blowjobs for $300, and they were good looking. I was like, I can't compete with that shit. So that's real. You go back to your old job and realize it kind of sucks. So she saw a familiar face, like we kind of said. I'm going to skip through some of this, but she saw what Samantha was doing. She went by Samantha Fox. Whenever the doors to the room opened, Rosie would peer in to try and figure out what was going on. I would see the guy laid out chilling. Just being drugged with MDMA. No big deal. As long as Samantha had been in the business, like we said, they really had like a fucked financial arrangement going on. So what they would do is go down a list of client phone numbers like telemarketers, and then they would send a picture of one of the girls in the crew, like Karina. So that's why Karina was saying she was a bait. There was also Marcy, who lived near Samantha. She was a recruit as well because her boyfriend was a convicted drug dealer nicknamed Pimp. So he was like, yeah, let's get Marcy making some money. Pimp sounds awesome. Pimp sounds like a great, really stand-up guy. So this is Karina and Marcy. So it's really like the four of them doing this together. If the client Samantha reached out to expressed interest, she'd have Marcy or Karina meet him out. They'd wine and dine him, and when he was drunk, that's where they would take him to the club. And then in situations where the guys would be like, no, I don't want to do drugs with you. Because a lot of times the guys would be like, drugs. So like sometimes the way it started is they were like, do you want to do some MDMA? And if you've ever met a Wall Street guy, like, yeah, they do want to do MDMA, and they're going to talk about it. So, like, a lot of the guys were just like, drugs, but the guys that were like, oh, no, thank you, they were like, oh, thank you. Don't do that. You can't give people drugs non-consensually. Don't do that. They took it too far. Just a sprinkle, like a pinch of salt. It sounds so bad to say that we were, like, drugging people, but it was, like, normal. lines get blurred. Lines get blurred. That's what I'll say. The guys they were targeting were wealthy, so they would say, what's an extra $20,000? Who cares? And when the guys called them, because again, they would take fishing, they went to TGI Fridays in the financial district, and Rosie was like, no, bring it up. We got to go somewhere classier than this. And she was the one that wanted to go more upscale places. And she said, my big advantage over the other girls is I don't look like a stripper. She said, gesturing to the Lululemon sexy suburban mom ensemble she was wearing. I look like any girl who could be getting off work, relaxing after a long day by having a glass of wine. Once situated, they would find their target and say, let's go to a strip club. What's an extra $20K? Only a third of my annual pre-tax pay. So this is what kills me. Obviously, no one deserves to be drugged and robbed. Obviously. But when a hot girl is buying all your drinks, her and her friends are like all over you, touching on you, and you're like a chubby man in his 50s, and all these like young women are all over you, buying your drinks, and they're inviting you to the strip club? Come on, man. My favorite advice of all time is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So the nights fell into a pattern. All the guys would want sex. So at first they tried hiring those dancers, but Rosie was annoyed by their lack of enthusiasm. If you're going to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a night, I want you to know you had a good time, even if the bill was a little high or whatever. I get it. Like, you're scamming these people out of a lot of money. You really need to show them a good time to be getting away with this. So this is when they decided to outsource, and they started getting sex workers from Backpage and Craigslist. They had very strict no drinking, no drugs policy. So she taught them how to fake drinking and fake sniffing cocaine. And she said, once you get their signature, you can party all you want. Because once they have their signature, they're good. They can charge whatever they need to because they have the signature for the thing. Like, you know, you got to sign when you give your card. So she'd take them shopping, give them a little etiquette training, and she's trying to make it work with these women. Very Pretty Woman type vibes. While they took care of their business, she took care of hers. So the sex workers would go like, fuck the guy, and she would call American Express, verify the last 4 digits of his social, his mother's maiden name, his last purchases, their location, how much he was being charged, and she said she would do it right in front of them. So they would have like a prostitute's legs draped over their face, and real quickly she would be like, what's your mother's maiden name? And they would just tell her. So again, like, I don't want to victim blame them, but like, all right. At the end of the night, she calculated the breakdown. I could do all the math in my head. If you told me the bill was $40,000, I knew exactly what cut went to what. So she knew like who in the crew was getting what amount of money from the club and all of that. Her and Samantha got the largest cut. And then the other girls got minor sums. It's unclear how much the clubs profited because the clubs wouldn't answer any questions about it. And Carmine Vitola was the only one that got like put up. And Scores said basically that they had no idea what was going on. And Rosie said, no one put us up to anything. We are strong women who don't take fucking shit from anyone. So yeah. Rosie believed that the host and managers appreciated her work. There were nights and weeks where I brought the club $100,000 without me making the effort to go out and market and promote. They wouldn't have a business. She said she no longer felt like a disposable dancer. It was like I moved up the totem pole, which apparently you're not supposed to say that anymore. So the more you know. So when Rosie's business savvy and Samantha's people skills, business boomed. They're buying Louis Vuittons. She said we were like Kobe and Shaq. We were untouchable. How much are we gonna make tonight? And they would be like online shopping and shit. It was fall 2013 and they were sitting outside a hotel in Rosie's Escalade waiting for one of the girls to come downstairs with a client's credit card so they could run it over to the Roadhouse and swipe. So that's what I mean. They're getting out of hand with it. Like, I think if they had stuck with the good thing they have of taking guys on dates and then taking them to the club and getting them to spend exorbitant amounts of money, they never would have gotten in trouble because that's technically not illegal. It's manipulative and it's fucked up, but it's not illegal. But going into a guy's house, being like, oh, let's hang out, and then taking his credit card and then taking it when he didn't even go, like, to me, you're getting messy, you're getting greedy, and you're getting sloppy. This was a new innovation. Their success had not gone unnoticed by other dancers, and so people had been like copycatting. So Rosie said, I saw there was a market for the in-between. You bring the strippers to the guy, it was good, and we had a monopoly on it for a while. So now instead of bringing the guys to the clubs, they're bringing the strippers and the sex workers to the guys' houses, which I think is like also a lot more dangerous. Like, it's not a controlled environment, you know what I mean? The gang was doing well, as evidenced by the several luxury vehicles Rosie had in rotation. All their closets were lined with Gucci and Chanel. Ordinarily, Rosie wouldn't have blinked at spending $1,000 on shoes. That was like a night for me, or like an hour. Still, something about seeing Samantha shopping in the car had irritated Rosie. I think I'm just going to buy these tonight, her partner said, swiping a finger across the screen. Things are getting tense. In retrospect, Rosie recognizes this was the moment that she felt like things were getting out of hand. And she also said the sex workers were unreliable. This quote kills me. They wouldn't show up for work. They would be intoxicated. They would get beat up by their boyfriends and had to be in the hospital, or had asthma. She's like, those domestic violence victims, and some of them had asthma. Women with asthma can do anything. And she said that she was really frustrated by this because she was seeing to the girls like they have an opportunity here to like move up and have a better job. And she felt like the girls just weren't taking advantage of it. Samantha would get upset and start looking for other girls. Like, this was a consistent problem that they were having. She told me that they wanted stand-up people, not junkies and criminals. People that have morals and principles. Come on, bro. You can't be the head of a criminal empire and be like, all my employees are criminals. What is this? Points to my asthmatic self. Now, what the fuck did I do? If we're a team and we're making money and winning games, are you going to start trading players and bringing in new people? She would argue with Samantha. God. But apparently Samantha had zero business sense. Look what happened with Rick, a banker that they'd met. He was good looking, had money, was nice, not a pervert, said Rosie, paraphrasing Warren Buffett's long-term greed philosophy. So she suggested that the gang would be better served by padding out Rick's bills over time rather than banging him out all at once. So what Rosie was saying was like, let's take them out a few times and do little by little. They'll just get used to this and be like, I'm a big spender at a club now. But no, Samantha found out this guy had a $50,000 credit card limit and she wanted $50,000 that night. As opposed to if you had been getting him to spend a couple grand on the first night and then 10 grand. He probably would have ended up upping his credit card limit. But Rosie said, I see the forest. They just wanted a $50,000 tree. They also said that they had burned through their base of regular clients and were dealing with mostly strangers now, which could be unpredictable. One hedge fund manager had gotten so wasted he bumped his head in his pool and suffered a concussion. One of the girls had ended a night covered in bite marks, and often Rosie didn't get home until after 5 a.m., barely in time to get her daughter to school. So like things are kind of getting out of hand and things are kind of escalating. It was exhausting. I think that's why we got greedy. We were just like, you know what? These people are fucking pissing me off. Just for that, I'm going to max out his credit card, like a penalty. You're going to be left with a zero balance, zero credit line, just for being annoying. We needed to make it worth it. It was just never enough. I'm going to make $100,000, then I'm going to leave. I'll make $500,000, and then I'm going to leave. I want to make $1 million, and then I'm going to leave. So for year after year, it's still going. It's getting really out of hand. Like we said, they started in 2008. This is now in 2013. So they become increasingly reckless and also increasingly cruel. One night, she and Samantha drove out to a Japanese restaurant to meet a finance guy. He ended up there after his friend took him out to blow off some steam after a series of devastating events, like his house being leveled from a hurricane and separating from the mother of his autistic son. Rosie got him a drink. He's venting about his life. They took him to Roadhouse and then basically completely took advantage of him. Like it's really getting like out of hand and gross now. Like you guys were with me and I was with them when it was just like convincing guys to buy overpriced champagne. Like I think that's just good business sense, but like this is inherently evil. You know what I mean? We cleaned him out completely. Can you guys please credit back my debit card? My mortgage payment is on there, he pleaded. But Samantha's like, you can't feel bad. If we don't do it, someone else was going to do it. Rosie paused. I can tell you exactly how much it was. $17,000. $5,000 on his Chase debit card, and then he had an airlines card. It wasn't much, but to him it was a lot. $17,000 is so much money. Like, the fact that she's so delusional at this point that she doesn't think that that is a lot of money is crazy. So if the guys at the precinct who answered the phone had $1 for every time they had heard this story, I got drugged and my credit card got run up at a strip club, he said he'd be retired already. They received countless reports of this. Countless. Many victims were calling in saying, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. And the police just assumed all of them were full of shit. So countless victims are calling into the police. I get the first one you hear. I get it's a crazy story. I get I would write it off at first too. But after continued reports of it, lots of them in the same areas, at the same clubs, and you just thought all of them were full of shit. Okay, got it. So this particular caller called and said, I have evidence of this. They were very skeptical, but they decided to take him seriously. So, hilarious and accurate meme. Thank you. So, nonetheless, agents from the DEA and a tactical diversion squad were dispatched to the guy's house. He said, I just want to know what happened to me. And the guy begged until the woman on the other end of the line finally gave in and told him what happened. He'd been fleeced by a gang of ex-strippers who spiked his drink with narcotics just a sprinkle. So he called the girls, basically got them to admit it, and he recorded their admission and then showed that to the police. So, like, sloppy as fuck. So fucking sloppy. It was very weird, said one of the cops later. If it wasn't for the tape, I would have been like, dude, you're fucking full of shit. Incredible detective work here, gentlemen. Incredible detective work. Like, multiple victims at the same clubs. Like, I just can't say it enough. Like, the incompetence is radiating. Imagine being a rich white man and the police don't believe you. That's what I mean. Who are they serving? Who exactly is being helped? But they had the tape, so as soon as they picked up the girl on tape, who confessed immediately. Although the police won't reveal the identity of their informant, the women are all pretty certain it was one of Samantha's charity cases. An ex-stripper we'll call Marjorie, who had already had trouble with the law. So remember how Samantha kept bringing in new women and it kept not working out? Again, messy and sloppy. As Rosie and Karina tell it, as soon as they entered the room at the Gansevoort Hotel, where Samantha had summoned them to help Marjorie with a client, they knew something was off. Marjorie was acting weird. She kept urging them to give the guy drugs, which made them suspicious, and when they held back, she became frustrated, grabbed the bag, and threw the entire contents into the man's drink herself. He passed out not long after, and almost immediately came a knock on the door from two men claiming to be hotel security, who asked to search their belongings. Fortunately, they were too polite or squeamish to fully inspect the bottle of Midol that Rosie kept inside her purse, but speeding down the West Side Highway afterward, Rosie swore they were being followed. What this tells me is that NYPD regularly spend more than they remember at strip clubs. That's what I'm telling you. Like, when they called the police said, me too. See you there tomorrow. I told her she was being paranoid, Samantha told me. She said I was going crazy, Rosie said. Right then and there, she should have said, Rosie has instincts, she's perceptive. If she had just listened to me, the investigation would have gone cold. Yikes. The DEA did not confirm or deny having run a failed sting operation. Wouldn't be the first time. But it's true that at that point, they weren't having a lot of luck getting the victims they found to press charges. The amount of people willing to talk to us was so small it was absurd, one of the cops said. Men don't want to admit to being victimized by women. Lots of men actually called you. You just didn't take them seriously, so you didn't write down their phone numbers. That's what happened. Sorry, but it is. This is understandable given the way that they did this. Like, a lot of people don't want to admit to it. So I will grant them a lot of people don't want to admit to it, but multiple people called you. I'm sure those people would have been willing. You just didn't take them seriously. So, back to Dr. Unin. When the cops opened the Post in April 2014, they saw the story of the New York cardiologist who had failed to pay a bill he'd racked up in 4 visits to the club. If he was drugged the first time, I guess he liked it, a SCORE spokesman quipped. A DEA sting foiled by Midol? No, literally, it's a joke. The doctor became a laughingstock, but the cops recognized the MO right away. When you look at it out of context, it seems like he's making it up. But the dates were so tight together, and he didn't know about the charges until it was over. It was sad. He actually thought he was dating the girl. Dr. Unin told the cops he'd met Karina at a restaurant on Park Avenue. She said she was a nursing student and introduced him to her relatives, Samantha and Marcy. Their dates had ended a little fuzzily, he said, but it wasn't until he got a phone call from American Express alerting him to $135,000 in charges made at Scores that he realized something was wrong. After the story broke, one of the cops who interviewed him ran into a colleague. "That guy's full of shit," the guy said. "No," protested the cop. "It really happened." Young men themselves, the cop and his colleagues were getting kind of spooked. "I'm paranoid. You know this job. You come here, you say this happened to me. Who's going to believe me? Your gun is missing. Your badge is missing. You blacked out." So the cops are immediately afraid for their own lives, which kills me because, like, y'all don't even have money like that. I'm sorry. Like, y'all are not, there's a reason none of y'all got when y'all are all there. Remember how they said we look for the suit, we look for the watch, we look for the shoes? Your little government-issued tie doesn't exactly scream wealth and opulence. So I think y'all are safe. We're going to say that y'all are marked safe from this scam. At first, according to Rosie, Samantha was happy about the attention the doctor was getting in the tabloids. She was like, good, now he'll pay his bill. Samantha's not thinking long-term, I fear. But Rosie had a bad feeling about it. Like she said, she's perceptive. And then on June 9th, 2014, the cops cornered Samantha at an ATM in her neighborhood. They were like, "Get in the car, you're under arrest," she recalled. "The neighbors were staring. I'm like having a panic attack." Karina was picked up next, then Marcy. This is from the movie, so it's fake, but this is the arrest scene. But apparently this is like really how it went down. They got him like, so yeah. Rosie was last. In the car on the way to Central Booking, she and the cop bantered. He was like, "How'd you get wrapped up in this? You're smart and you're pretty. Maybe when all this is said and done, I'll take you out for a drink." And he said, "I ain't never taken a drink from you." And she said, "Don't worry, hun, you don't have money. You don't have no money for me to take." So, like I said, the police have been marked safe for this one. In addition to the doctor, they had gotten other victims to testify as well. One, Fred, the father with the autistic son. It turned out the credit cards they maxed were his corporate credit cards. His company launched an internal investigation. He got fired. Later, after starting a new job, he was informed his name had been reported with an agency that tracks white-collar crime, and he got fired again, which sucks. He said now he has a consulting job, but he lives in fear of being found out by his current employer. "I wake up in the morning thinking about it," Fred told me. "Every day, once or twice a day, I feel the barrel of a gun against my head." So that's absolutely horrifying for Fred. Very, very sad. The women were unmoved. As they saw it, they should be the aggrieved parties. They felt like the cops were going after them. He's a scumbag like the rest of them. The guys are all over these girls. They get fucked up. They don't know what the hell they're doing. If they'd done anything wrong and she didn't think that they had, it was nothing compared to the stuff that they felt like the men were getting away with. "What about the things the guys did?" Samantha fumed. "What about Bill Cosby?" Great point. What about Bill Cosby? Yeah. Let's bring him up. If we're going to talk about people that drug other people, let's bring up Bill Cosby, I guess. And then this is part 3 of that news, because he was single, so he didn't really have anything to lose. Like, the money is what he was losing. So, like, he didn't give a fuck about his reputation. He's like, yeah, I was at a strip club. I don't fucking care. Yeah. Also, again, strangers make the risk higher. So, the tabloids started reporting on the arrest, and this is what kills me. They referred to the girls as strippers. This is what Samantha said. "None of us are strippers." yeah, I guess technically you're not stripping anymore. I liked the part where one girl I was interviewing had a derogatory comment about the prostitutes they called in, one of the cops said to his colleague. Like, I don't do that. So when they get arrested, they're like talking shit about the prostitutes. Like, they're all high and mighty. The other guy laughed. You think that drugging people without their consent is okay, but prostitution is derogatory? They're warped. After that, they were all sent to Rikers and they were reunited in a cell the following day. Samantha attempted to rally the troops. Let's all hold hands and fight this together, said Rosie. Rosie was describing Samantha saying, let's all hold hands and fight this together. It's us against them. We didn't do anything. We're innocent. Innocent is crazy. Rosie looked at Samantha, who resembled a deranged Rosie the Riveter with the leopard hair wrap she was arrested in. I'm thinking in my head, this is dumb. I said, yeah, we're innocent. We're fucking angels. You're delusional. Like, come on. Everything has already unraveled. Put on your big girl panties and just be truthful for one thing in life. Rosie basically had a breakdown, Samantha said. The correction officers said, which one of you is the ringleader? And Rosie and Samantha pointed to each other. Keo talked, referring to Rosie. Carmen Vitolo brushed past Samantha Barbush outside a Manhattan criminal court morning in November 2014. Samantha, teetering on the steps in Gucci heels, paled visibly beneath her tan. So clearly, Rosie, the one that's doing all the press, the one that's trying to make money off this, she did talk and like make a deal, I guess. That afternoon, the reporter drove to see Rosie. She opened the door looking wary. Samantha had already texted, we heard you took a deal. Good luck. So like this reporter is reporting on this while it's happening, because even though they got arrested, they were released on bail and now they're in trial and stuff. At first, I was like, no, I don't want to be a rat, Rosie told me, sitting on her couch wrapped in a Gucci throw while her daughter played with Barbies on the snow white carpet. Then I thought about it, and I'm like, the only one of those girls that's normal, with a brain on my head, with a child and a future. I don't know about that. She was worried about her former colleagues, she wasn't worried about her former colleagues, especially Samantha. She'll have a crew in jail. I was watching Orange is the New Black. She'll be like Red. She'll be like V. Over the next year, I talked to Rosie many times. At first, they were proper interviews, but then she'd call at random and we would just talk. She'd want to complain about Samantha and how she'd fucked up my aspirations, or she'd return to her goals for the future and her struggles with anger and depression. I know why we did it. Hurt people hurt people. Despite her obvious flaws, it's easy to understand why clients found her charming. She was funny and strange and oddly philosophical, especially on subjects of greed and materialism. I need to decipher the difference between what I want and what I need, because the want of wanting is what's killing me. That's so real, the want of wanting. She has very powerful abilities to justify herself. She does. In February, we met for lunch before her appearance in criminal court. When we got there, the judge was still hearing the previous case about a shooting incident. The prosecutor was showing a video of the defendant giving an interview to police in which he thoroughly incriminated himself. It was painful. Idiot, muttered a guy in the front row. It turned out to be Rosie's lawyer, who had not been returning my calls. This is a journalist, remember? I began to feel nervous for Rosie, who'd been evasive about the terms of the deal she was expecting to get, but she hadn't seemed concerned at all. I mean, it's white-collar crime. These women are delusional at this point. She nudged me, held up her phone, which displayed an array of caviar dishes on Yelp, and whispered, "Do you like foie gras? I love foie gras." Am I even saying that right? All the women were desperate to avoid jail times, and their plea negotiations dragged the case into November when Karina and Marcy pleaded guilty to conspiracy, assault, and grand larceny. A few weeks later, Samantha Barbush pleaded to the same charges. Their sentences are scheduled for early New Year. We'll talk about it. In the meantime, Karina has a new retail job, and Samantha is still working on her swimsuit line. Oh, I thought Rosie had the swimsuit line. Whatever. Rosie's court date is scheduled for February. Throughout the ordeal, she appeared mostly upbeat. She told me she was thinking of becoming a motivational speaker like Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street guy. When she and I spoke, I told her this was impossible. Oh, wait, sorry. The banker made famous by Wolves of Wall Street, but then later, when a fact-checking magazine called to confirm the details, she declared she made everything up. So when a magazine called Rosie to confirm the stories, Rosie was like, no, I made that up. When she and I spoke, I told her this was impossible. Her story has been corroborated by multiple indictments and many interviews. She seemed to acknowledge this. Right now, I'm telling you, everything is fictional, she said after I asked about her Jordan Belfort plan. She paused for a long while. If you want to write the fictional story I told you, you can. Then she said something we both knew is true. I am saving myself. I am out for myself. So she like opens up to this journalist over months and months and then is like, oh, I made all that stuff up. And the journalist is like, no, you didn't. And she's like, you can write it if you want. Still, I like her. We've stayed in touch. Not long ago when we spoke, she said she was living in California. I have no idea if this was true, but if it was, I will say she seemed happy. She and her fiance were on the rocks again, but she'd been making new friends, she said. There was a man who was helping her get a job in pharmaceutical sales, and she was learning how to trade stocks. Guys out here all want to bang me. They're like, I'll take you on my private jet. We'll go to Tampa. We'll go to Vegas. She hadn't said yes to anyone, but she was thinking about it. I mean, I have all their numbers. She's absolutely going to do it again. I have like full confidence she is doing it again. So that was the OG article about them. Honestly, it was super long, but I liked the writing, so I wanted to read the whole thing. I hope that you thought that was worth it. I just felt like this journalist did a really good job. So let's backtrack. We're going to go over some key details, see some more news clips, and then we will finish up. So this is like a who's who. Jennifer Lopez played Samantha, Constance Wu played Rosie, Lily Reinhart played Karina, and Julia Stiles played Jessica, the journalist. So, was Samantha Barbash a stripper? She was very upset about her portrayal in the movie, and she told the New York Post, I was never a stripper. I was a hostess at Scores. So she claims she was always just a hostess. Reports suggest that Samantha was upset that they were showing her as a stripper. As stated in the article, she considered stripper to be a demeaning term they'd work to overcome. At that point, they saw themselves as savvy businesswomen or hustlers like Jordan Belfort. I like how you spread out the articles plus the news clips. Very neat. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, this is another thing. She said that she was planning to sue Jennifer Lopez over the movie. She said, we're putting a stop to it because she's actually misrepresenting me. It's defamation of characters. She said that the filmmakers never sought permission to use her life rights. Her name was changed to Ramona in the movie. That's part of why her name in the movie was Ramona, but Rosie's was still accurate because Rosie worked with the movie and said, yep, you can make a movie about my life. I will take money, please. Samantha did not say that. It's my story she's making money off. If she wants to play me, then she should have gotten the real story. So Rosie and Samantha are both writing books. Samantha's is called Underscore and Rosie's is called The Sophisticated Hustler. I did buy both of them. They will be here tomorrow. Don't know when I'm going to read them. Despite participating in Jessica Pressler's article, Rosie More Than Samantha, on which the movie is based, they have since claimed that that article was fictional as a possible attempt to try and distance themselves from the story or make money off of their own versions, book deals. So, as far as the journalist, like we said, it's been corroborated. So this is Rosie's book, The Sophisticated Hustler, When the Alpha Female Takes on Wall Street. It's 111 pages. It'll be here tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a quick read. I'm really eager to see what that is. Did the real Destiny and Ramona call themselves Kobe and Shaq? Yes, they did call themselves that. Did the real women use the money they hustled from men to live glamorous lifestyles? This seems to be exaggerated in the movie, but is mostly in line with the true story. Rosie did buy an Escalade in addition to other vehicles. They did do the designer things. Also, what I was reading that there was a lot of conflicting information about was that they kept the money, which makes sense because the vast majority of the victims did not come forward. I could not find any evidence of them paying restitution to victims or paying fines other than like normal lawyer and court fines. So I think that doing interviews. She wrote her book, The Sophisticated Hustler, and she no longer speaks to Samantha. I bet she is skimming. So Samantha maintains that she was a hostess and she was not going on polls and stuff. She also claims Jennifer Lopez never reached out to her, which she's very upset by. Her lawyer said that the movie is based on court records of the trial and a New York Magazine interview with one of the co-defendants in the case and the dancers. Although Samantha wasn't a dancer at the time, we believe the movie and Jennifer Lopez's character is based on her. We plan on seeing the movie before deciding what steps to take. And then she did end up saying she wanted to sue her, but I couldn't find any records of that lawsuit actually going through. This is Samantha talking about it on the Today Show Australia.
Samantha, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate
She
your time.
refuses to look
Let's
at the
get
camera,
straight
which
into
tells
it. What
me
did you think of
she's
how
like
you were
lying.
portrayed in Hustlers? How was your portrayal?
I did not like it at all. Actually, I walked out of the movie.
And what was it, Samantha, that you didn't like?
I mean, she defamed me as a mother. They were cooking drugs. Let me say Jennifer Lopez was cooking drugs with her child in the house. She looked very cold-hearted in the movie. I mean, there was many traits that were untrue.
Is there anything that you would like to say to J-Lo?
No, nothing at all.
This is so awkward.
I mean, well, actually, yeah. I feel like Jenny is not so Jenny from the block because a real actress that portrays somebody in the movie is supposed to study their mannerism. And I felt like maybe she thought I was beneath her because in my past I was a stripper, adult entertainer,
And now she's saying she was a stripper, but earlier she was like, I never was a stripper. This girl is lying. And also I feel like Jennifer Lopez was just like creating a character. Like she had a different name and it was loosely based on this story. It wasn't like a biopic. Is that what that's called?
And I became a host, so maybe she thought I was beneath her. I'm not really sure. But I just think it was very disrespectful. If you're playing me, then you should have got to know the real me.
It says in the film it was inspired by a true story, by real life events. I mean, what would you have liked
Why
them
won't
to
you
have
look at the
done
camera?
differently or changed about your character?
Well, to be honest, she went on many interviews saying that it is based on a true story, and I'm playing the ringleader from the case, the single mother from the Bronx, which is I. So what they should have did, I should have been a consultant on the movie. They offered me to be a part of the movie, which they did not really want to pay me. And besides that, they didn't want to pay me. They wanted me to give up my life rights for film and television, which I was not going to do.
So that's why Rosie's name was real, because she like gave up her life rights. You know what I'm saying?
Because I have a series in the works.
So they did ask you to get involved, but you didn't feel that potential remuneration, the compensation, the pay, the fee was sufficient, right? And you would have had to give up.
J-Lo is an actor, not a historian.
Yeah.
She's also a musician,
yeah, exactly.
But not a historian.
They didn't want to pay me, basically, to be on the film and wanted me to give up my life rights.
Okay.
Samantha, who would you have wanted to play you?
Is Samantha reading a script?
It's funny how they put Cardi B in the movie because originally, from the beginning, speaking with producers, I said that Cardi would have played a better me for the simple fact that she was in the same business as I, so she gets it.
As I?
I think she did great for her 10 minutes in the film. Not downplaying Jennifer's acting, because she did amazing in the film. She looked beautiful, but it was just not reality as the way that I should have been portrayed.
Like, yeah, it's not reality. It's a movie. So this is her book, _. It was a hard 3 years of my life, but I'm not ashamed. I feel like you should be a little bit ashamed, no? So Karina was the bait, so they say. So she was working in retail by the time of her sentencing, and she was talking to reporters after her first weekend in jail. How do you think jail went? And she said, I have too much on my mind right now. I'd prefer not to speak about it. She does not seem to harbor the same ill will towards the movie that Samantha does. She happily attended the premiere along with Rosie and posed for photos. So, like, it seems like some of the girls were willing to be like, yeah, I made this mistake. They're making a movie about my crime. Let me lean in, try and get some clout off of it and do my thing. Samantha was not that way. This is Karina on the news. So Marcy has laid super, super, super low. She had weekends in jail too. She has a quiet life. Not really sure what she is up to. And that's that on that. I know it was a little bit redundant. I really like this story though. There's no super clear villain, victim, hero. I mean in the ring of criminals. Obviously, the men who were drugged are victims. But I mean, in the criminal ring, there's a leader, but it's not like anyone was forced to do crime against their will. Like, everyone involved is just so human. And then, like, the men who got scammed but didn't say anything because they were cheating on their wives. Like, I feel like this story is truly just us at our worst. It's sex, it's capitalism, it's greed, it's all of it. So, I'm sorry I keep coughing. Next week, on Monday, we're talking about Marlo Hampton. She, normally, I don't really like to put people's mugshots, but she has a lot of them, and she honestly looks really good in most of them. She's was on Real Housewives of Atlanta. She has a very interesting past. That is who we will be talking about. I hope you enjoyed tonight. Did I misspell her name? No, it says her name's Marlo Hampton. I know she's like, they were like, oh, you changed your name, whatever. And she would say, like, welcome to the Hamptons when people came to her house, which I think is funny. Let's do our little frickin' Nearpod game. If you don't know, at the end of each of my streams, we play a little game about what we learned about. It's just for funsies. The directions are on the screen. This was so interesting, and I don't think it was redundant. You showed real life versus the movie for the purpose of comparing, not just saying the same thing twice. Thank you. I tried to not make it redundant, because, like, I swear to y'all, every fucking article I read was exactly the same. Every article was just like a slightly different version of the original Jessica Pressler's article that we read. Like, every time I would try and find info, it just sourced back to that one. That's what I was referencing to. There's a meme that said the Hamptons. Oh. Okay, so I picked the underwater theme because a lot of these men are underwater in debt, which is unfortunate for them. So you can do this on your phone. You can do this on a new tab. You don't need an account. You don't need your email. You don't need any of that stuff. It's free. I'm not trying to scheme you. I'm not trying to scam you. You just go to that website and enter the code. If you don't want your name to come up on the screen, put something a little bit like clever and funny maybe, and it won't come up. But yeah, I'll give you a few seconds to join. This flew by. It's already 9. Dun, 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 dun. I'm hungry. What do I want? I usually choose the octopus character because it's so funny to see the octopus wearing an underwater helmet. Stop sign. What? Oh, a lady I know had a baby. Named it the same thing as another baby I know. Interesting. Oh, and she got Nobu. That's cool. I've never had Nobu. Probably not worth having a baby to get it. I guess I could just buy it. But pretty notable. Notable. I need a haircut. I have an appointment, but I want to go like right now. It's getting to the point that it's like scraggly at the end and it's getting tangled easily and I don't like it. Okay, has everybody joined? Does anyone want a free month subscription to Misredacted Substack? It gave me for 5 free gifts when I subscribed. Yeah. Chat, people, talk to each other. I'm on Substack now, if you didn't see that. My first post, I'm going to post once a week. My first post, well, I have 2 posts. My first post is free and is about, like, I actually have some for Fraz I need to give to people. My first post is free and is about, like, the positive reasons why I decided to sub. Like, be a substitute teacher. If you didn't know that, I'm subbing this year. I don't have my own classroom this year. I could literally have a whole nother stream about it. I could talk for hours about it, but I wrote for hours about it on Substack. So the first post is free, just so you can kind of see like my vibe and my writing style with the positive reasons. And then the paid ones, the one that are behind the paywall, are like a little more tea forward. And like, I kind of wanted to make it free, but I talk about some stuff that's like really personal. Not that I feel the need for you to pay for that, but I more mean like, basically I spill a lot of tea about shit that admin did to me, and I put emails, not like the actual email, like I redacted identifying information, but like full email threads, receipts on receipts on receipts on receipts. Like it's receipts on receipts of how I got kind of done dirty. So I didn't want to put that for those people to just like enjoy. You know what I mean? Like I was like, maybe we keep this one inside the family type shit. And obviously, like, I need money to live. I took a massive pay cut. I'm not going to lie to you and say that that wasn't a factor. But let's do our little frickin' game. Let's do it. And thank you to those of you that subscribe to my Substack. That warms my little cold heart. Surprise, surprise, people for public ed are not paid enough on any level. I have a hair stuck in my earring, I feel it. How did Rosalind Keough start stripping? Strip club manager recruited her. I'm hungry. Why did all the girls want to work with Samantha at first? A Wawa hoagie line. I want Jersey Mike's right now. That's what I want. Bad. I feel like I need to watch the movie now. I like it. Like it's not like where people are like best movie of all time, but like it's entertaining, there's funny moments, there's good music. It's a good movie to like watch with your friends. It's like a good girls' night movie. It's a good like I want to watch something like easy to watch and easy to follow. It's that type of movie, which is my type of movie. I hate a confusing ass movie. I hate an action movie. I hate it. Thank you, a Quick Trip parking lot for giving away subscriptions. That's literally so nice of you. That's so nice of you. Also, a bowl of Fruit Loops. If you want to email me, I'm happy to send the stuff to you. You said you lobby for public education. If what I write would be helpful to you to lobby for public education, that's the main reason I'm writing. So I'm happy to send it to you if it would be helpful for your job. You'd have to remind me. I'm gonna forget. But if you remind me, I'm happy to send it to you. Yeah, they were not smoking weed with the guys. I don't think that would work. We'll get there eventually. No rush. It'll all be there when you're ready for it. Why did the scheme work so well at first? Because it was set up by Todd. I should have put that on there. That would have been funny. I'm mad at myself for not thinking of that. What was a major hurdle in the scheme? I gave a lot of multiple answers tonight, all right. What did the women spend the money on? been playing with a fidget spinner this whole time. Have you been able to hear it? I hope not. Or if you heard it, I hope you liked it, or it was quiet or comforting in some way. Not therapy. Not therapy, unfortunately. A lot of things probably could have been avoided. Who was upset with their portrayal in the movie? And that kind of iconic photo of her coming out of the courthouse is hilarious because she didn't have to serve any jail time. Which is crazy that they couldn't get them on so many of the worst crimes. I wonder what the deal is with Rosie's guy, the father of her baby, that she's off again, on again with. I wonder what his deal is. He has to make decent money if they're, well, I guess if she invested her money well, they could be living off of it still if she invested it well and like bought a house or whatever. Because if you're making like hundreds of thousands of dollars for multiple years and you like are really wise, but she was like buying cars and stuff, I don't know. I just wonder what his deal is because it seems like when she's with him, she doesn't have to work, which is interesting. When did the scam fall apart / the public become aware? Maybe he's scamming instead. Maybe. He's the manager at the club. It was 2014. They were doing it for years. Crazy. Alrighty, Saturn Cat in first place. Nice job. Good to see you again. Divvy, oof. 1-800-MEGAN. Good to see you too. Hustle and No. Andy, show me the Amex. Caitlin, Kelly, Jenny from the parking lot. Finley, Hustler Wilson. A Dutch Bros parking lot. Bada bang, bada boom. Alex Casanova, a Walmart hustler, a Wawa hoagie line. Luke J-Lo, I'm a hostess. I'll scroll through the rest. Nice job. Oh, is Nearpod not working? Let's go back. There we go. Memes, anything to add, anything to share? Be quick, because I'm hungry and tired, so I'm going to get out of here momentarily. I've been, like, loving my bed recently. I don't know what it is. Like, we've had it for a couple months, but lately it's just been so comfortable. I have the purple mattress. It's so nice. The hustler's fishing. It is much, but it's honest work. 5th place today, not bad. I went from 2nd place to 11th because I'm face blind. My deepest apologies. That's rough. I know the question, or where the answer choices are pictures, is a controversial type of question. I did my lashes today, and one of them is just like not where it should be. I can feel it. Jenny from the parking lot is absolutely hilarious. What else? Anything else? As always, please share and donate to Dr. Shofian's GoFundMe. I actually really need to chat with him and post some of the stuff that he sent me. Good night, Mr. Redacted and classmates. Excited for class on Monday of next week. Yes, and next week class is on a Monday. Monday. All right, I think that is our only meme. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you next Monday. I know normally it's see you next Tuesday, but it's see you next Monday. Soon, if you will. All right, love you. Adios.